Oh, okay, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so this is going to be an amazing call today. I'm so glad you're with me. Just going to get the workbook up on my screen. I didn't get a chance to um, print this one out, sadly. Okay, so welcome. Really glad you're here. Grab a drink if you need a drink. Get yourself settled in. We have some seriously valuable stuff for you today. I don't say that lightly. Um, for those who are watching on YouTube who don't know me, I think everyone in the Zoom room here knows me. But for all the people who are watching on, I should say, even Facebook, Matt Jope live events, or any of the YouTube channels, those that don't know me, my name is Matt Jope. I help coaches and consultants close the gap between what they know and what they actually do in their business. If you haven't heard me say that before, or you have heard me say it before, you know I call this the knowing doing gap. And if this is the first time you've heard that phrase, don't worry, but at the end of today, you will really understand what it means and how it can change everything for you in your business. We're going to be going deep into storytelling today. But before we get into any of that, just want to make sure you know that today is not a lecture. It's not really even a masterclass. It's more of a really practical training, which means that you're going to have frameworks, templates, fill in the blank tools, things you can take away and use immediately, not next month, not when you're ready. Like as soon as you get off the call, you can finish them and start implementing them in your business as early as tomorrow. My promise to you is this, that if you're a coach, consultant, service-based business owner, what we will cover on today's call has the power to completely change the way you show up online, the way you have conversations with potential clients, and the way you will feel about selling. Because we're going to take the word selling and we're going to replace it with something that actually really works and feels really good. Just to be clear, I have no qualms about selling. Folks in my programs learn how to be super ninjas at selling, but I know selling is not for everyone. And unless you're in my program, we can't do the deep work. So what we're covering is another way of selling, which is just as effective, but something you can really do. So I want to ask you something before we get into anything, and I want you to sit with this for a second, whether you are in the Zoom room or watching on YouTube. Have you ever felt like you may be the best kept secret in your industry? My wife had a program called The Best Kept Secret. What do I mean by that? You look at other people in the space, people who haven't been doing it as long as you, people who don't even have the same level of skill or knowledge that you do, and they're getting clients, they're growing, they're visible, people know their name, and you feel, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working? Why is this not happening to me? Does anyone feel like that in the room? Like they're the best kept secret? You have so much you can help people with. Lucy says yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Don't worry. This call is 100% for you. Super common feeling. Like I said, my wife had an entire program called The Best Kept Secret. It's one of the most painful things in business. It's because that you are so good at what you do, it's painful to feel almost invisible. Knowing you have all this knowledge, you're super capable. In my opinion, it's often the people who are super capable with the most knowledge that are the invisible ones. It's often the reversal. And often one of the reasons, there's many reasons, we have a tool belt with tools, and one of them is the lack of knowledge in this particular area. And this is a skill which I've learned through trial and error. It's ones which I've invested in multiple coaches to learn. And it's the gift of storytelling. And that's what today is all about. I'm going to teach you 3 types of story that when you use them, it will basically do three things for you in your business. Number one, these stories will make you more visible. In other words, people will stop scrolling and will actually pay attention to you. Although this is not effectively a content lesson, there's different types of content. There's content which gets, the likes and the comments. To be honest with you, that stuff does not make money. And there's the ones actually people probably don't like or don't even comment, but they get you paid. Number two, type of story that will build trust at speed. Could be very, very powerful, way quicker than all the free tips and value posts ever could. Number three, they're going to allow you to invite people into working with you on a one-on-one session. And you can do that on a Zoom call, like a sales call. And you can tell stories so you don't even feel like you're being salesy, pushy, sleazy, or of those things. So what I'm teaching today is not theory. I'm actually going to give you templates, fill in the blank frameworks. So by the end of today, you won't just understand storytelling, you'll have everything ready to deploy immediately. Does that sound good? Put yes in the chat. That sounds good and valuable. Hope it is. There's a workbook which goes along with this session. Everyone in the Zoom room, I know you have it now, but everyone on YouTube, if you check the pinned comments, you can download it. If you haven't downloaded it yet, grab it now. It's got every template we're going to work through today. Plus, there are reflective questions. There's going to be a cheat sheet, which you can pin to your wall as well. Okay. Just so you know, you don't have to fill everything in live as we go along. Just capture what resonates with you and then go deeper in your own time after this. It's been recorded. I will have the recording ready for you by tomorrow morning so you can go through it again. Before we dive in, one more thing. I want to really set an intention around our time together today. And the intention is this. I want you to leave today feeling like you finally have the words, because I know so many of you are often stuck because you just know so much, but you just don't know what to say. And how can you communicate your value in a way that makes people lean in? And storytelling is about making people lean in. I always imagine it, you have a group of friends around a campfire, someone tells the story, everyone leans in to listen to the story. So I hope that sounds good. Drop good in YouTube. I am keeping an eye on the comments in there as well, guys. So I appreciate you. So, okay, before we get into the three story types, I need to spend a few moments on something because it's kind of the foundation of everything we're going to build today. If you understand this, the rest of the training is going to be 10 times more effective and better for you. The question is really, why do stories work? Not just stories are nice, but why do they actually work better than anything else when it comes to building a business, getting visible, and this thing that we all want, client creation? Let me start with what most coaches and consultants do when they try to grow their business. They teach. Who feels like they teach a lot online? They give loads of tips. They share information. They share insights. They post things like 5 ways to manage your time better, or 3 steps to get more clarity in business, or 3 ways to get over a relationship, or here's my framework XYZ. And there's nothing wrong with those things. And indeed, a lot of content strategies include those things, except for one thing. It doesn't work the way you think it does. When someone reads your post that's a tip, here's what really happens. They read it, they nod, they might even save it, and then 9 times out of 10, they will scroll on and they will forget about you and probably the tips in about 3 seconds. And you know why that is? It's because information doesn't create a connection. Information creates, oh, that's nice, that type of response. It doesn't create, I need to talk to this person now response. Seth Godin, one of the greatest marketing minds alive in the space, said something that I think about nearly every single day. And it's this: marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, it's about the stories you tell. So for him, everything is down to stories. And stories are even more important than your offer, than your intellectual property, your methodology, the certificates, the years of experience. For him, and he's one of the top marketers of the world, it's all about the stories you tell, because the stories are this, so important. It's the vehicle that carries all of that value into someone's heart, and it stays in the head. And there's actual science behind this as well. So when someone reads a list of facts or tips, believe it or not, only two parts of the brain activate, and that's the language processing areas, and that's it. So they understand the words, and that's where it ends. But when someone hears a story, the whole brain lights up. The motor cortex activates when you describe a moment. The sensory cortex activates when you describe texture or temperature. The emotion, center fires when you describe how someone felt. So their brain literally experiences the story if it's happening to them. And here's the really powerful bit. When you tell someone a story, a number of chemicals actually get released in the brain. And one of those chemicals is actually the trust chemical. It's the same chemical that gets released, believe it or not, when a mother holds her baby for the first time, when you hug someone you love, when you feel deeply connected to another human being. Stories literally create a biochemical bond of trust between you and the person listening. Okay, that is neuroscience, not made up. That's how powerful. That's why you can watch a film and cry, even though when you know it's not real, even when you know, I don't know this person in real life, and we know it's all made up. That's why you can hear someone's story on a podcast and feel like you've known them for years, even though you've never met them physically in real life. And that's why storytelling is actually one of the most powerful tools you can have in your toolkit for your business. Tell them the facts and they will learn, but tell them the truth and they'll believe. But tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. That's a Native American proverb. Make sense so far, guys? So just try to point out storytelling is so important to use in your copy, social media posts, live events. So now let me connect to the other problem. And it's one which I know a lot are carrying a weight around the chest, and that's the fear of selling. Is anyone here particularly scared of selling? Put yes in the chat if you are. If you're ever nervous about stating your price, inviting someone into your program, if you're nervous, let me know. Just to make sure that I've got people in the right room. Yeah, perfect. Thank you for being honest. Fantastic. Better in the parts, but yes. Yeah, don't worry. It's as I always say, selling is a reps gap. It's a confidence gap. You just have to get the reps in, and it becomes second nature. No one starts off enjoying sales, believe it or not. So the good news is that we're going to talk about the fear of selling, the fear of asking for a sale. And I'm sure that most of us, everyone's been on a call with a potential client, someone you can really help. But when it comes to the time to actually say, here's how we can work together, we kind of freeze, stumble over our words, or we just don't say anything and we just hope they're going to kind of ask us. We let the conversation drift to like a weird ending where we hope they will bring it up and we don't have to. And if you've had that frustration, felt a little bit defeated, I don't know if you felt like that, we've all been there. We've all been there. But here's what I've come to understand about why that matters, that moment feels so uncomfortable. It's because we've been conditioned to believe that selling is pitching, that selling means you have to switch out of being a superhuman who's really helpful and then being a salesperson where you have to list the features, name your price, go through a million bonuses and all that jazz. Okay, then handle objections and all of that stuff normally feels very horrible. It feels horrible because because of this. There's almost like a switch that happens on the call where you're having this genuine human conversation, and then all of a sudden it turns into a transaction. And what happens then is the energy changes, everyone feels a bit awkward. What I've discovered is, and what we're going to do today, when you tell the right story at the right moment, you don't have to pitch, okay? The story does the heavy lifting, the story builds the belief, the story creates the desire. And then all you have to do is say one simple sentence. I'm going to give you that sentence word for word today. And the invitation into your program is kind of natural. Okay, quick question. Has everyone here read the book Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson? Has everyone read Expert Secrets? No, nope. Okay. Nicole's sending me top secret messages a long time ago. I don't know why we're having a private chat, me and Nicole, but it's nice. Yeah, so it's one book I recommend everyone goes through. There's a trilogy. There's .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. Expert Secrets, I genuinely believe every single coach and consultant should read. It's full of secrets, believe it or not, and they are the real foundational parts of creating a movement, creating your stories, and all of that thing. So one big tip is, yeah, go and read that book. You'll find it so useful, so useful. In that book, there's something called the Epiphany Bridge. And the Epiphany Bridge is a beautiful idea. It's so simple. And let me explain. Russell says you can't just tell someone what you believe. You can't give them the conclusion and kind of expect them to buy it. You have to take them through an emotional journey that led you to that conclusion. And when they experience what you've experienced through your story, they have the same realization that you had. And then you don't need to convince them because they convince themselves through the story. And this is what an epiphany bridge is. It's like a story that creates a moment of insight in the listener, not because you've told them that way to think, but because you showed them what you went through, and then what will happen is they will come to the conclusion on themselves. And that is exactly what we're going to learn to do today, with 3 types of story. Each one serves a different purpose. Each one has a different framework, and together they give you everything you need to get visible, build trust, and invite clients without ever having to feel like you're really selling. So let's get into story type number 1. Story type number 1 is something called your origin story. And the first type of story, I would say, it's the most important story you will ever tell in your business. And I really, that's not good. Hey guys, sorry I'm back. We had a power cut. Like I said at the beginning, there's been a bit of a situation in the country, and they keep killing the power and the internet. But good thing is we have a private generator. So if it goes, I'll always be back. Apologies. Where did we get to? So we were talking about the first story, which is your origin story. Like I said, if I go, guys, I'll always be back in a couple of minutes. So hopefully, can you all hear me again? Hope you can all hear me again now. Someone let me know. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the first story, like I said, it's origin story. It's very, very, very important. This story is so important because it answers the question that everyone is silently asking, but they never say out loud. So whether someone lands on your social media profile, whether they watch a video of yours, whether they get on a Zoom call with you, there's this question running through their mind. And often they don't verbalize it, but what they're thinking really is this: why should I listen to you? So everyone's subconsciously thinking, why should I listen to you? So when Lucy gets on social media, we're looking at Lucy thinking, why should we listen to you? When I'm on social media, people are thinking, why should I listen to you? Okay, it's what everyone goes through. And what I want you to notice is that question is not, what do you do? It's not, what are your qualifications? It's not, how many years experience do you have? The real question beneath all of the question is, do I trust you? Do you understand me? Have you been where I've been? And if I open up to you, will you get it? So there's a few deep questions that every kind of people, who's considering your offers and services. Do I trust you? Do you understand me? Have you been where I've been? And if I open up to you, will you get it? Will you really get me enough? And that's what people are really asking. They may never actually physically again say it, but it's what they're thinking. And the answer to those questions is this thing called your origin story. Your origin story is the story of why you do what you do. So why you do what you do. It's the journey, it's the real messy, emotional journey that took you from wherever you were before you did this work to where you are now. So it's not even really like a timeline. It's not really even a CV. It's the transformation that you went through that made you say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is who I'm supposed to help and why. So this is even more relevant in the space online today. People really don't want more information. We're up to our eyeballs in information. There's a million AI chats now that can tell us. What they want is they want faith in you, faith in your goals, faith in your success, and in the story that you tell. And this is everything. Your audience definitely does not need more information from you. They really need a reason to believe in you. And the most powerful way to give that to them is to share the real story behind why you do this work. Now, in Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson talks about something called the heroes to journeys. This is so, so important. And this is going to change how you think about your own story. And he says that every compelling story actually has two stories happening at the same time. There is the external journey, the external. So that's the things that happen. This is like the events, the circumstances, the tangible stuff, the tangible. But beneath that, there's a second journey. And this is the internal journey, which is the most important journey. The internal journey, that's the emotional transformation. That's who you become. That's what you learned about yourself. And here's the key. The audience will always connect with the internal journey, not the external one, okay? So, okay, let me give you an example. Yes, it's great. Made 6 figures in a couple of days, made 7 figures. All this stuff is external stuff, but it doesn't make anyone special. A gazillion people have done it. If you think about every film you've ever watched or loved, one of my favorites when I was younger, I haven't seen it for years, is Rocky. Rocky involves the external journey, is a boxer fighting for the title. But the internal journey is the one that makes people cry when they watch it. It's a man who needs to prove to himself that he's not worthless. And that's the journey that grabs you. The fight, the boxing, is just the vehicle of the journey. So your origin story works the same way. Yes, of course, there are external events. You start a business, you've trained as a coach or a consultant, you've maybe left a career. But the story that makes people lean in to the campfire, around the campfire, is the internal one, the internal story. The story of the fear, the story of the self-doubt, the moment you almost gave up, the moment you almost lost everything, the thing you discovered about yourself that changed everything. So people don't buy from the person with the best credentials. They really, really, really do not. They buy from the person they feel most understood by. Who's heard that before? And your origin story is how you show them you understand, because you've been where they are. Everyone following along so far? Put yes in the chat, everyone, please. Lucy, if this is making sense. Let me know if this is making sense, guys. Perfect, yes. Lovely, thank you. Absolutely, brilliant. So it's so brilliant, Kath. Thank you. So it's so important that we do our origin story the right way. And AI is terrible at writing this because it doesn't really understand the emotional part. So I have a gazillion origin stories because I have many businesses. But one of mine is I wasn't supposed to make it. I was born with an extremely rare medical condition. I spent the first months of my life in Great Ormond Street Hospital, surrounded by doctors who saw me more as a medical challenge than as a child. And my first days weren't filled with fun and toys, they were filled with surgeries. And when I thought I actually caught a break in life, life gave me another curveball, double pneumonia and a collapsed lung. And one night that stands out above all the others. One night I was in intensive care, my tiny body hooked up to many machines, the air in my lungs slipping away. I could hear my parents outside the room, their voices trembling as they asked the doctors if I would survive. That moment became entrenched and etched into my soul. Even then, I couldn't have even articulated it, but it was a seed that was planted. And it was, if I make it out of that intensive care room, I'm going to make my life count. Fast forward through my adult years, I did everything I was supposed to do. I worked hard, went to law school, became a barrister, climbed the corporate ladder, became vice president, sales marketing, global pharmaceutical company. So on paper, my life looked like a massive success. I had the title, the salary, the shiny office with the view, but every day I felt hollow. The grind of corporate life was very suffocating. I couldn't shake the thought this wasn't what I survived for. One night after another late meeting that felt like a complete waste of time, I sat in my office staring at the skyline. And I noticed that I became a prisoner of comfort, trading my dreams for security. That night, something shifted. I quit my job. There was no big plan, just a determination to find something real, something meaningful. I stumbled into online entrepreneurship, clueless but helpful. I started a YouTube channel, poured my heart and soul into it, and within, very quickly, within 6 months, I was making 6 figures. I thought I found the freedom I was looking for. But as the weeks turned into months, I realized something was still missing. Success without meaning felt just as empty as the corporate grind I'd left behind. Then life gave me something which I call a God slap. Found myself back in intensive care, this time with acute pancreatitis, lying in a third world country, hooked up to machines again, very close to death. Staring at the ceiling, something became very clear. Life was never really about money. It was really about impact, lasting impact. When I walked out of the hospital, I had a new mission to help others break free from fear, live with purpose, and create lives that matter, not just for themselves, but to leave a legacy behind, because I know what it's like to feel stuck, and I know what's possible when you break free. So that's one of my origin stories. Now, apologies if you dozed off, but I don't know if you noticed what happened. I didn't list any of my coaching qualifications. I didn't name drop any of the institutions I've trained with or studied with. There's been many. I told you where I was, what I went through emotionally, what I discovered, and why I do what I do now. And that's it. And if any of that part resonated with you, if any of you at any point felt, wow, that's me, I felt that, then the story did the job because it built some form of trust. It built some form of trust and hopefully built a connection, made you feel understood without me having to sell a single thing. And that's just part of how powerful an origin story is. My origin story is actually a lot longer than that, but like I said, we started a bit later today, so I didn't want to keep everyone trapped against their will. But one day I'll share all my stories with you. There's many stories, but what I would love for you to do is just open up your workbooks. And if you turn to where it says origin story, there's an origin story template. And I'm going to give you the framework now and then do a quick reflective journey exercise. Like I said, because we're kind of shorter on time today, you could do this after the call or tomorrow. Basically, an origin story follows 4 beats. Think of them like 4 chapters in a very short book. I call them the 4 beats of an origin story. And what they do, they map out directly, perfectly, and they will turn into your Epiphany Bridge structure that Russell Brunson teaches. Like I said, I call them the 4 beats. I don't know, I can't remember what Russell calls it, but it's the structure of an origin story. So beat 1 is the before. So this is where you were before the work that you do now, before this work. So this is, what was your life like? It could be what was your business like? Could be what were you struggling with? This is where you create something called identification. You want your audience to hear this and think, oh, that sounds like me. And the more clear you are, the more precise you are, the more connection it will have. So don't just say, oh, it's having a hard time. Literally say what the hard time looks like. What did it feel like to wake up on a Monday morning? What were the thoughts running through your head? In other words, we paint the picture. Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Beat 2, the breaking point. This is the moment things come to a head. The moment you knew deep within your bones something had to change. Every great story has this moment. Some people call it the pit moment. It's the incident. So in my story, it was sitting in my glass office staring at the skyline, realizing I had become a prisoner of comfort. In yours, it might have been a conversation, a failure, an argument, could be a loss, a moment of clarity in the shower at 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it could be. Okay, whatever it was. This is like the emotional peak of your story. This is the bit where the audience will lean in and listen. The third beat 3, the third chapter, is the discovery. This is your epiphany. What did you discover? What did you learn? Realize that changed everything. This is your Epiphany Bridge moment. This is the thing that shifted your perspective and set you on a new path. So in Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson talks about how this epiphany is often given to you. It could be given to you by a guide, a mentor, could be a book, could be an experience. It's something that kind of showed you a new way. Something that showed you a new way. It doesn't have to be like this big thing. It just has to be something that's believable, real, something that happened. The key here really is to show the audience the moment of realization, not just the conclusion. You really realize something. So take them into the moment so they can have that epiphany with you, like, okay. Beat 4 is the mission. The mission is this. Why do you do this work now? Why do you do this work now? Who do you help? And critically, why does it matter to you personally? Why is it important to you? And this is where you connect your story to your purpose. Okay? So this is where you connect your story to your purpose. This is where the audience sees that you're not just selling a service, you are literally on a mission. Why is this important? Missions attract people. People want to be something, they want to be part of something bigger than a transaction. Yeah? No one wants to feel like they're just a transaction. Okay? So there's 4 beats. Before, a breaking point, a discovery, a mission. This is your origin story. Now, if I may, let me give you a critical piece of advice about telling this story. And this comes straight from the storytelling principles and expert secrets, and a million other books on storytelling. I've read so many, invested in so many courses. Brand Stories, another great book on this. They all say you need to oversimplify. In other words, tell your story at a level anyone could follow. In other words, Russell Brunson calls it techno gabble. In other words, no jargon, no industry buzzwords, no complex frameworks. Tell it like you're telling a friend over coffee or over a glass of wine in a restaurant. You're basically saying at a 5th grader level. Why? Because the simpler the story is, the clearer it will speak to them. Make sense? Hope that makes sense. The other thing he talks about as well, which is really useful actually, is kind of like. And he calls it the kind of like bridge. So if you need to explain a concept that's very complex, you say things, it's kind of like, and then relate it to something everyone already understands. So instead of saying, I realized I had imposter syndrome, combined with a fear of visibility that was rooted in childhood attachment patterns, right? This is techno gabble. That's like coach speak. You would say something like, I felt like a fraud. It was like wearing a costume, pretending to be someone I wasn't. And I was terrified someone would pull the mask off. You see the difference? The second one really speaks to you more emotionally. It's much clearer. The first one is more like you're a talking textbook. Yes, it says the same thing. One's a textbook, one's a story. You know, storytelling is the most powerful way to put your ideas out there in the world. So the clearer and easier you can make it, the better. Okay, has that got your juices flowing? I hope that makes sense. What I would love for you to do, just reflect for a moment. Even close your eyes if it helps, not if you're driving. But if it helps, close your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to think about your before. So like I said, close your eyes if this helps. Think about your before. Think about where you were before you started doing this work. So not the timeline, the feeling, the feeling. What were you feeling? What was, keeping you awake at night? What was the thing you were struggling with that no one else knew about? You were too embarrassed to share. You wouldn't even tell your partner, husband, wife, best friend, whoever it was, your significant other. You wouldn't even share it with them, best friend, whatever it may be. Jot down a few words in your workbook, just a few words, the feeling, the situation, the pain. If you're in the Zoom room now, or folks on YouTube, you can drop a word or a phrase in the chat if you want, just like a word that kind of captures where you were before. It could just be stuck, frustrated. I was feeling lost. Yeah. See, that's really clear. Lost, scared, betrayed, ashamed. You see, these are powerful, powerful feelings. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I'm just going to switch back to the normal internet. Bear with me a second. If I conk out, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Stuck, great word. Let me see what it's a good thing about living in Uganda. You have so many internet connections. Bear with me. 407. Okay. 407. Hopefully I'll be there straight away. Okay. Hopefully everyone can, if you can hear me, just put yes. Apologies again. Sometimes the internet can be fun. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you. Well, they're really powerful. Hold on to these words because they really are the beginning of your story. I'm convicted of not sharing my story. I felt ashamed of my painful past. Thanks for sharing, my friends. We'll talk about, I would love for everyone to write down this. This is like one of the big takeaways for everyone is that your vulnerability is your superpower. It's your superpower. It's the thing that's going to get people to want to know you. They will trust you. They will look to you as a leader, a mentor, whatever you want to put the label on you. But it's the thing that will make them see that you're an actual human being that can help. And your vulnerability is your superpower. It's when you can really, truly show up as yourself and say, I was lost, I was stuck, I was ashamed, I was frustrated. All of these things, I promise you, are your superpower. especially when you know how to frame it in a way that's really raw, honest. It's your superpower. Okay, so if there's nothing else you take away tonight, please write down my vulnerability is my superpower. So things that can really help someone who needs help, and that's why I know everyone's here. So here's the thing that a lot of people really resist. Often people think that their before often isn't dramatic enough as well. They think, well, I didn't have some huge rock bottom moment. I wasn't homeless. I didn't really die. I didn't kind of lose everything. I need to share something that's really important. Your story does not need to be drama. It just needs to be honest. And believe it or not, the quiet struggles, the self-doubt which no one sees, the feeling of not being enough, the fear of even putting yourself out there, those are just as powerful as any crazy story. Now, I have, I'm fortunate in some way. I have so many crazy stories. Like I was one of the first police officers in London to respond to the London bombings, the suicide bombings at King's Cross, Tavistock Place. I was in the counter-terrorism team during those times. I can share stories where I won awards from the King of England, from the Duke of Kent. I have so many crazy stories, but you don't need to tell anything like that. It's just when you're saying, actually I was a bit ashamed or stuck. Those things are powerful because they happen every day. And when you can relate to that quiet struggle, they're way more powerful than any kind of big dramatic story. Okay, it's often the small things which are super relatable. So, question: where do you use your origin stories? Okay, your origin story is see it as your anchor. It's the foundation everything else is really built on. Here's where you can kind of use it, deploy it as you want. First thing is on social media. A long form post, a video that is introducing who you are, what you do. This becomes the post that honestly will turn followers into super fans or fans. There's a great book called Super Fans by Pat Flynn. This is how super fans are created. You could post it, pin it, share it regularly. That story never expires, it never runs out. You just use it again and again and again. Another place where you can use it, of course, is on your website. And this is your About page. This is one of the most visited pages, which happens on any part of a website, a coaching website. Most people fill it for the certificates, bullet points. I promise if you replace it with your origin story, you will see the inquiry rate jump up like this, of people wanting to book calls and talk with you. I promise you, it's way more powerful than saying, oh, I'm a master coach in this and that. The story is the secret superpower. At the start of every single sales call, so when someone literally says to you, hey, Lucy, what do you do? Or hey, Kath, what do you do? Guess what? Instead of giving them oh, I do this, you tell a 60-second version of your story. It completely changes the energy of the conversation because it literally feels like you're around the campfire. People will lean in. It's the thing that builds rapport, know, like, and trust. Also, it's a thing you can start every live training, webinar, talk. You can just share a story, share your origin story. This is how people will start to trust you before you even try to get them to trust you, because it's not magic, it's what storytelling is all about. Makes a lot of sense, yeah. It's a really powerful thing we've seen. So it's literally how you connect. Also, your welcome email sequence when someone books a call with you or joined something or joined your email list, the first email that someone receives from you should always really contain your origin story. Sets the tone of the entire relationship. So storytelling, very, very powerful. Okay, are we all clear on the first story? Most folks here, not everyone, but most folks here are in one of my coaching offers. It's many, obviously not here, but there are some. And for those that are in, you all get tickets to, we'll be doing this for 3 days in a lot of detail. So if you don't have that clarity, don't worry. We'll be going over 3 days, going deep. There's actually 25 different types of story to use in business, believe it or not, 25 types. And on the live event, I'll show you how to use them all. I just posted a long one this week. Well done, yeah, great. Yeah, 25 different types of story where you use them for everything from handling a sales objection to all sorts of things, unique insights, all sorts of things. So we'll be going 3 days, long days, but really valuable. And you'll have an entire swipe file made. Like I said, they never expire. You just use the same stories again and again. Makes content creation really, really easy because you can just take one of your 25 stories, you put it in there, and boom, you've got a post or video done in 2 seconds. So we'll be doing that together. I'll share the details with all of you. Okay, story type number 2 is the client transformation story. So now you've got the origin story. That's the story that builds this connection, helps people to really trust you. Okay, that's the story says, I understand you because I've been where you are. Now we need the second story, and this is the one that creates something called desire. This is the story that makes the audience think, if that person can do it, maybe I can too. Maybe I can too. So story number 2 is the client transformation story. And the framework for this is something I call before, boom, after. Before, boom, after. Now, before I explain the framework, I want to explain why this story is so much more powerful than something else called a testimonial. Testimonials are amazing. You want them, of course. But a lot of coaches think, oh, I have testimonials. You know, I have people who said nice things about me, nice things about my program. And testimonials are great, but they're kind of limited. A testimonial says, this was great, 5 stars, would recommend. That's a review. It's a review. That tells the audience someone else liked what you do. Okay, great. Problem is, it doesn't make the audience really feel anything. And a client transformation story is different. It's a narrative. It's a journey. It takes the audience inside another person's experience, okay? And more importantly, another person's experience just like them. And it shows them the before, the turning point, and the after. And when it's done well, the audience doesn't just think, oh, that person got a good result. They think this is so important. That's me. I'm in the same position. I want what she got. I want what he got. And this connects directly to what Russell teaches in Expert Secrets. He talks about how every person who encounters your offer has this thing called false beliefs. In other words, things they believe to be true that are actually keeping them stuck, false beliefs. And he breaks these into 3 categories. So false belief, number 1, is about something called the vehicle. So storytelling doesn't work for my niche. Could be a belief that you guys are happening now. storytelling doesn't work for the type of work I do, as an example. Content creation isn't how you get clients. Okay, I need a better funnel. I don't need stories. I don't need this stuff. Could be that. That's an example. Another false belief could be about themselves. I'm not interesting enough to tell stories. I'm not a natural storyteller. My story is not dramatic enough. That would be another example. So the first one is about the vehicle. So the vehicle, the offer, how you get them from A to B. The second is about themselves. And then the third type of false beliefs most people have is about external forces. There's too many coaches, the market's saturated. It works for them because they have a bigger audience. My niche is different. You know, all of this stuff. Very dangerous in business. My business is different. It's never true. So now you can try and argue people out of those beliefs with your logic. You can give them data, stats, case studies, all this, okay? But you can't logic someone out of a belief that they're emotionally tied into. And the only way to break a false belief is with a story that does something that's very important. It gives them a new experience and a new epiphany. So it gives them a new experience and a new epiphany. And a transformation story is that story. So when someone hears about a real person who had the same false beliefs that they have themselves and they overcame them, this doesn't do anything like, oh, this inspires me, just like way more powerful. It dismantles the false beliefs that they have. Okay, so let me give you a quick way to think about this before we go into, looking at this framework. Imagine you're standing at the start line of a race and you're eager, you're ready to go, but there's one big problem. You're wearing this big, heavy backpack and it's stuffed with rocks, each one labeled with the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of success. And as the race starts, you try to run, but the weight pulls you down, okay? The strategies you've been chasing are like running shoes, yeah? So the running shoes, they're helpful, but they won't get you far if you're carrying a backpack of fear of rejection, all this stuff. A great client transformation story shows your audience someone who finally took off their backpack, okay? So let's build one now. So this is the before, boom, and after. Before, boom, and after. The before. What was life or business like for this person before they worked with you? And I want you to be really specific here, like so clear. Don't say they were struggling. Paint the picture. How long had they been stuck? You know, what had they tried? What were they feeling? What were they about to do to quit? Were they going to go back to employment? Were they going to give up on their dream? Were they going to give up on their health? I have a brilliant example. Good. Yeah, well done. So the more clear you are, the more the audience will see themselves in it. I will look forward to seeing that example very soon. Okay, the boom. This is the breakthrough moment, the shift. And here's the key. The boom is one moment. It's one moment. It's not a gradual process. Okay, it's not that. It's a single insight. It's a single conversation, a decision, an action that changed the whole trajectory. So maybe it was a session that you had together. Maybe it's something you said. Maybe it's a question you asked. Maybe you reframed everything for them. Maybe it was for the first time they hit the publish button of sharing that vulnerable post to share their superpower, which is their vulnerability with the world. Without it, you're just describing a before and after. There's nothing there's no connection there. And then the last part is the after. The after is what's different now. And again, get super clear. Not things improved, what actually happened. In other words, how many clients did they sign? How did their confidence change? What did they say to you in a message afterwards? And always remember the following thing. Numbers are powerful. Emotions are powerful. Combine both, and that is what people will say, wow, I need to book a call with this. So let me give you a real life example. I will use a pseudonym. Let's call her Sarah, a coach called Sarah. So when Sarah came to me, she was stuck. She really was stuck. She had incredible knowledge. She had skills, but her business was not growing. She had invested thousands as well, in courses, strategies, the best coaches, the best systems. Every guru told her what to do, but nothing seemed to work. She felt like a failure, fear completely taken over. And the words really spoke to me. She said this, I'm scared, this is it. I'm scared, I will never figure this out. Okay, so that's the first bit. The boom came when we finally sat down and looked at what was really happening. And I told her, Sarah, the problem isn't your strategy. It's the fear underneath the strategy. It's the fear of failing. It's the fear of judgment. This is what's stopping you, not your knowledge or your abilities. So we started with her inner game, her mindset. And I helped her recognize how fear was paralyzing her decision making and it was draining her energy. Okay? Now, the after. Together, we worked through her limiting beliefs. We rewired her perspective. We focus on aligned, consistent action, not perfection. Okay, not perfection. And within just 3 months, Sarah had more clarity than she ever had before. She started showing up with confidence, making more offers without second guessing herself and connecting with her audience on a deeper level. And by the end of our time together, she actually had signed her first clients and made her first $10,000 online and had a business she could finally feel proud of. This sounds like a familiar story. Yeah, it's a story which I get involved with people every single day. Yeah. Yeah. So notice what happened there. At no point did I say my program gets amazing results. I didn't say that. I didn't give you a single stat about client retention rates or a satisfaction score, five-star rating. I literally told you a story about a real person with a real problem, and I shared with you the transformation. And if you are sitting there and thinking, that sounds like me, I'm carrying the backpack of fear too, then the story just did exactly what it was designed to do. It didn't inform you, it shifted something inside of you. And that's the difference between information and a story. Does that make sense to everyone? Does that make sense? So there's a big difference, 100%. Yeah, amazing. Good. So that's the difference between information and a story. So our goal isn't to try to sell anyone everything. Our goal is to guide them to their own decision. Okay, we're not trying to sell them stuff. We're trying to help them come to their own decision. So what I would love for you to do now is just pause, and I want you to think about one person you've helped. Now, another problem people say is, some people say, well, I've never had a client. Don't worry. It could be a paying client, but it could also be a friend. It could be a colleague. It could be someone you mentored informally. Okay. Just think about someone who was stuck, who was struggling, and who experienced something shift inside them, a change inside of them because of something you said, something you did, something you showed them. In your workbook, write down their name or their initials and write down one line about their before, one line about their after. That's the seed of your first client transformation story. What we do, guys, we just take a quick 5 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll just do the third bit, and then we'll be done for the day. How's this been useful, guys? It's a shame we had such confusion over the start time today, which is a shame. There was many people registered, but as long as you guys here are getting value, I'm very happy. Very useful, good. Stories is amazing. Like I say, there's 25 different types of stories, which is crazy. Yeah, just take a couple of minutes. Go grab a drink if you want, and then we will come back, and then we will go through the next part. While you're doing that, I'll just talk you through this very quickly. For guys on YouTube who are watching, if you go to matthewjope.com stories/2/clients, there is a link in the pinned comment. You will see that I am holding a 3-day virtual event, which is called Turn Your Stories into a Client Getting Machine. It's a 3-day virtual event where I'll be sharing the exact frameworks that will attract premium clients. This is a live event I have delivered more times than I care to remember. It's been delivered to so many people over the years. It's 3 days live training. I'm going to go through 4 story types that will definitely work to create clients, but I will go over all 25 types of story. There's actual live coaching where we unmute, we hang out, we have a talk. Of course, there will be all the workbooks, everything you need. All the details are here on the page, guys. Go through there, all the common questions and testimonials. It's $100 for the 3 days. It's absolute bargain. If you are already a client of mine, you get access to this for free. I will be running this on 2 separate occasions because I don't want to have the groups that big. So I will be running it twice this month. I will let you know any captains here from one group, but I will let you know which one to come. But yeah, all the common questions are here. And if you are in any of my programs, you get this for free. If not, it's a one-time payment of $97. It is a bargain. Very good investment. If you want to know any more about it, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or just send me an email. I will definitely send an email out this evening where you can check out the details. If you have any questions, please let me know. There is a 100% money back guarantee. If you attend the first day and you don't totally love it, I will give you your money back. No questions asked. Okay. Hope that sounds good. It'd be great to have 5 or 6 of us there. It'll be a good event. This is. Had 60 people go through that in once. I think it was 2 years ago now, and we had an awesome time. Okay, just take 5 minutes. I'm going to grab another drink and then we will get back. Hey, YouTube guys, sorry, this is for you. I've just seen your messages. So one of them is on the 15th of this month, and the other one will be towards the end of the month. The only one that's confirmed at the moment is the 15th. Once those spots are filled, I think we'll take maybe 6 people for the one on the 15th. I will kind of close them. I don't want any more than 10 people there. But I'll let you know. Obviously, the landing page will just disappear, and then I'll confirm when the next one will be happening. But it'll be twice in the month. What other questions have you got? Yeah, you'll see there's a link. You can just book a one-on-one call and go through that. I have, as you know, group coaching, one-on-one coaching offers there. Let's see what other questions there are. Matt, do you have a free community? I don't at the moment. I don't have a free community at the moment. I might start one. I've done them before. I know what they're about, but I just don't find them that exciting, to be honest. It's a personal preference. Free communities are very important. It's part of how you can really connect with your audience. It's part of a proper ecosystem. But community can be what we're doing now. It can be an email list. Can be many things. But of course, it can be a Facebook group. It could be a school community. Could be a circle community. Could be a Go high level community. Could be System.io community. Obviously, school and circle are the very popular ones at the moment. I've taught communities to hundreds and hundreds of people, but I just don't have a free community. I might do one. I might do one. I would have to see if people would be interested in it first. But yeah, good question. For now, just join my email. Make sure you get my emails. Just whitelist my email, and you'll see what we're up to. Okay, is everyone back? I think there's only a few of us on the call, but are we all back? Nicole, you there? Are you there? Kath? Lauren, are you there? All there. Just let me know you're here, please, guys in Zoom. I should say, whilst I'm waiting to see if people are back in the Zoom room. Yeah, okay, cool. One person's here, which is good. I should say next Friday, we have another free one, 5 o'clock UK time. So same time. And it's around the hidden reasons why coaches avoid sales. So if you feel you avoid sales, next Friday will be a great experience for you. Again, the link is pinned under the video. Just pop your details in there and we will hang out. Brilliant. Everyone is here. Cool. Okay. Right. Like I should have said as well, one common thing as well, if you're kind of new and you're thinking, I really don't have a client story yet, no problem. Use yourself. Use yourself. Your own transformation is a client story. You are your first case study. Tell your own before, boom, and after. It's just as powerful, just so you know. Okay, it's just as powerful. Sorry, I should have said that before. Where do you use these stories? Again, social media content. One post a week tells a client's before, boom, and after story. This will get people to reach out to you. Often a lot of online content, you have to repeat it. So don't ever think, oh, I'm just telling the same thing again and again. That's actually one of the secrets. Repetition builds trust, become familiar. You'll be bored of it, but your audience won't be, believe it or not, because they wouldn't have seen it as much as you. But the idea on social media, you can post this, share this story. It works really well. Why? Because it makes people feel something. And feeling is what drives an action, to opt into your email, to reach out in DMs, to do something. Video content, 2 to 3 minute videos walking through a client's journey. Film them, do a talking head like you're talking to a friend. These are designed to pre-sell you, your offer, your free call, whatever it may be. This helps them to believe in you, believe that you can help them because they've heard the stories. And then again on a sales call, when someone describes their problem, it's very powerful when you can say, oh, let me tell you about someone I work with who was in the exact same situation or in a very similar situation. This is something called third-party proof, and it's very, very powerful. It's one of the most persuasive forms of social proof in existence because it doesn't feel like proof. It feels like empathy. That's why it's so powerful. Obviously, they make great emails to your list and amazing DMs. So instead of saying, hey, just checking in, you can say, hey, I was thinking about our conversation and I wanted to share something with you. I went with someone who was in a very similar spot to where you are, and we did this to achieve this. That will get responded to way more than just checking in. How are you? Just checking in. So our origin story creates trust. Your client transformation story creates belief. And now we need the third piece of the puzzle, the one that brings it all together in a live conversation. So story type number 3 is the bridge story. So this one I say for last because it's the one that will change your business the quickest. It's the one that solves the problem. I know most people carry the fear of most, and that is the fear of making an offer. So I call it the bridge story. And the reason I call it that is because it bridges the gap between the conversation you're having with a potential client and the offer you want to make without that gap feeling like you're going from a normal human conversation to a pitch. So it's the bridge. So here's like a scenario. You're on a one-on-one call, a Zoom call, discovery call, whatever you call it in your world, and you've been talking to the person for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They've shared their struggle. You really understand their problem. You know with 100% certainty you can help them. Now comes the moment that most coaches, consultants dread more than anything else in the whole business. The transition from nice conversation to here's how we can work together. Most people handle this one of two ways, and both often don't end very well. First one is they try and pitch. They suddenly shift gears. The conversational warmth disappears and gets replaced with, so I have a 12-week program and it has 6 modules, 3 bonus calls, there's a private Slack channel, Discord group, and it's $2,000. And as soon as you do that, the energy in the room drops to the floor and the survival brain kicks in. So the walls goes up. The connection that you spent 20 minutes building evaporates in 5 seconds. And why? Because you just dropped being a human and started being this, salesperson. Nothing wrong with that. You just need to know how to do that if that's the approach. But most people get it completely wrong. The second, option 2, this is the more common one among people I work with. They actually just avoid it entirely. They let the call kind of trail off. They say something vague like, well, feel free to have a think and get back to me if you'd like to explore this further. Or, let me know if this feels in alignment. And the prospect will say, great, I will. Thanks so much for your time. This has been amazing. And then you never hear from that person ever again. Don't know if you've ever had that yourself. But yeah, you never hear from them again. And then a coach sits there wondering why don't I have any clients? Well, the answer is basically that person never actually invited anyone to become anything. Yeah. Been there, done that. Super common, super common, super common. Yeah, most people, majority of people are in there. The third option, which is the easy peasy option, there are many others which I teach people, but the third one, which we're going to do today, is the bridge story. The bridge story can change everything, and it works like this. This is kind of the framework. Step 1 is listen. This isn't like a technique. It's actually like real attention. Let them share their situation fully. Don't interrupt. Don't start mentally preparing your response. You do something called active listening, because the quality of your bridge story depends on how well you understand their precise struggle. And here's a little bonus thing for you. I'm not really teaching sales tonight, but a sales call is 80% listening. You're not saying a word. And the other 20% is split into 2 separate things. One is asking questions. So 10% is asking expert questions. And believe it or not, the other 10% is actually only selling, if you're going to sell at all. Okay, people really get this wrong. The silence is your superpower in selling, and it's listening, something called active listening. The more present you are, the easier selling is. So we're not teaching sales type, but the 80-20 rule 100% applies. So step 2 is we reflect. So before you tell any story, show them that you've heard them. Use their own language back to them. So what I'm hearing is that you are good at what you do, but something's getting in the way of showing up consistently and creating clients. Is that right? And when they say yes, they just confirmed that you understand them. It's part of NLP, and it's called being a parrot. You literally use the exact language they use and say it back. Why? Because this really shows that you trust them, and that is literally trust. And what this allows you now to do is it lines up your story perfectly. And step 3 is bridge now with a story. Now you tell your client transformation story in about 60 to 90 seconds. And about someone who was in their situation. So you use your before, boom, and after, and you keep it tight, clear, really as if it's tailored for them. The person in your story should mirror their situation as closely as possible. Of course, being honest, ethical, not making stuff up. You should have like a swipe file of these stories. So if they're struggling with visibility, you share a story about someone who was sharing and they were struggling with their visibility. If they're afraid of showing up on video, tell a story about someone who is showing up on video, whatever it may be. The more the story mirrors them, the more powerful it becomes. Okay, so you share the story. And then step 4 is the invitation phase. After the story, you pause, you just let it breathe, and then you just say one sentence. Okay, it's not a pitch, it's not like a closing technique, it's an invitation. And the invitation really is this: would it be helpful if we sat down together and worked out what's going on in your business or life or whatever the things you help people with? So would it be helpful if we sat down together and work out what's going on in your relationship, whatever that thing is, okay? So for me, it's business. Would it be helpful if we sat down, worked out what's going in your business so we can get clear on what's in the way and what that next step looks like for you? And that's it. There's no price, there's no program name, there's no features, there's no scarcity, there's no pressure. All it is an invitation to get help. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense, everyone. If it would be helpful, if we sat down together and worked out what's going on in your business, so you can get clear about what's in the way and what that next step looks like for you. And that's it. Okay? It's nothing weird. It's just an invitation to get help. And this works because by the time you've told the bridge story, they've already sold themselves because they saw themselves in the story. They saw the transformation. And now you're simply offering help to do the same thing, to have the same feeling. Make sense? So we're not trying to sell anything. Our goal is to guide them to make their own decision. And if you plant the seed with a story, okay, they come to the realization themselves. They've sold themselves. The buying decision becomes theirs, and it's not something that you're having to do yourself. And when this happens, you don't have to sell anything. Okay? So let me show you like how this would kind of play out. Imagine like we're on a Zoom call together right now, and you've just finished telling me about your business. You told me that you've been at it for about a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. You're posting online, you're getting no traction, you know your stuff, but you just can't seem to convert a conversation into a client. And on this call, you said something that really stuck with me. And you said, I just feel like people don't see me and I'm terrified I'm never going to figure this out. Okay, so here's what I would say. I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And what I want you to know, what I want you to hear, that feeling of being stuck, being on a hamster wheel, trying every strategy, still feeling invisible, is one of the hardest places to be in business. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because I've been there myself, and I work with people in that exact position all the time. Let me tell you about someone I worked with recently because their situation sounds a lot like yours. Her name was Sarah. She'd been in business for about 18 months, qualified, passionate, really skilled at what she did. But she had, a handful of clients that had invested thousands, and guess what? Nothing was working for her. She was starting to question whether she was even meant to do this. She said she almost quit. In fact, she almost said the exact thing that you just said. I'm scared this is it. I'm scared that I'll never figure this out. Oh dear. Okay, hopefully I'm, let me go here. Ba, ba, ba. Personal hotspot. I'm sorry, guys. The internet today in power is terrible, very bad. I think it's something to do with what Kath was telling me that happened. So I suspect they're playing around with stuff. Anyway, apologies. We're back. And then you would just say, you mirror the words back, say we basically said the thing. And what we discovered when we dug into this was the problem wasn't her ability, it wasn't her strategy, it was the fear beneath it. She was terrified of failing. She was terrified of judgment. And that fear was quietly sabotaging every conversation, every piece of content that she ever created. And what we did, we worked together on that. We worked through her limiting beliefs. We rewired her perspective, and we focused on aligned, consistent action. And within 3 months, she signed her first clients. Now, this wasn't because she learned some new marketing hack or trick or strategy. It was because she finally moved through the fear and did the work that she had been avoiding. So from what you've shared today, it sounds like there might be something very familiar and similar going on for you, just like that. Would it be helpful if we sat down together, worked out exactly what's in your way, because it sounds really familiar, so we can get clear on your next step? Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully, I should have said, can you hear me again? I hope you could hear me. I hope that makes sense. But you're explaining, I understand where you've been. I've helped people who have been exactly where you are. And if you want to go into this and do that together, you invite. Now, the secret here is the first person to speak loses. So you pause. Okay. Now, it should have been a bit smoother if the power hadn't cut out. But hopefully you can see there wasn't any awkward gear change. There wasn't a pitch. There wasn't a moment where the energy shifted from connecting to now we're selling. Does it make sense? The story did the work. The story carried the conversation to an invitation. That's a bridge story. That's what a bridge story does. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully it does. Thanks, Lauren. Nicole, does it make sense? Kenya? Beautiful. Okay, few things here. Okay, few principles. One, what we want to do is match the story of the person. The closer the story mirrors the person's situation, the more powerful it becomes. So you want to build like a library. Have 3 to 5 bridge stories, so you're never kind of having to, think on the spot. The secret is when you start having more reps, more practice calls, you kind of know what people are going to say, and you can have like a swipe file ready. So principle number 1, match the person. Number 2, keep it short, 90 seconds at the most. Okay, you're not delivering a keynote speech. It's not a documentary, it's just a snapshot. Okay. 3, always end with an invitation. Would it be helpful if, most powerful phrase in your vocabulary on a sales call, would it be helpful if we explored this together? Okay. Principle 4, the pause after the invitation is where the real magic happens. Do not try and fill in the silence. Let them process what you said. Let them feel it. The person who speaks first after the invitation kind of loses the power in the moment. Okay? Sales is about being comfortable with the quiet, being comfortable with silence. So what I want you to kind of reflect on now is think about the single most common problem that people bring to you, the thing that comes up again and again and again. Holding the pause is a learned skill I found. It's very much, yeah. Silence is like a superpower in selling, and it's very awkward. And it is a skill that you just get used to doing it. And in that silence, it's uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable in a good way, because when someone speaks out, that's when we get the truth. That's when we get like the honest answer. That's when people will share things which they wouldn't normally share because they're trying to fill the awkward silence. So when you say, when you do make an offer, do you want to work together? And you don't say anything, you hold the silence. That's when they give you, well, yes, I would, or no, I don't. It doesn't kind of make sense. You get like a good honest answer, and then you can deal with it. So silence is very, very powerful. What I would love for you to do is think about the single most common problem, like I said, people bring to you, or you think someone was going to kind of bring to you in your business, the thing that kind of comes up again and again and again. And try and think of someone that you've helped with that exact problem. Okay? Write their name or their initials in your workbook. That person is like your first bridge story. And again, if you don't have one with someone else, you can use your own. Because believe it or not, do you know the first sale is always yourself? It's always yourself. Okay, let's kind of bring everything together. Like I said, reflect on that. Totally do that after the call today. I'm very aware the internet may go, so I want to kind of speed up just in case. Hopefully now you can see how powerful stories are, the 3 story types, the 3 weapons you really have now in your arsenal. Okay, let me just share very quickly where they kind of fit. Okay, story type. Okay, the purpose of a origin story, build trust, connection. Like I said, about page, intro posts, opening a webinar, live event, opening a sales call, whatever it may be. Okay, how often you could use them again and again and again and again. I may run an event. My wife may even run an event called Master Story, and this is where you write a story and you pin it to your Facebook profile, or you record your story and you pin it to your profile. It's like a video sales letter, but selling you. Very, very powerful. You may do that. People are fussed. That's another workshop. The bridge story replaces pitching on a sales call. This is for one-on-one sales calls, DM selling as well, follow-up messages. You can use this in every single sales call. So I skipped, of course. We've got the client transformation, the BBA. This builds belief and desire. So this is like weekly social media posts, using an email campaign, video content in the middle of a sales call. Okay, use this a couple of times a week if you want. A lot of you are going to want to use these stories in video content. 100% you should. The way you would kind of do it, there's a load of formulas. I'll just give you a real quick one. Is we always start off with a hook, 5 seconds. Best hook often is open with the pain or the result. So I was about to quit my coaching business. Here's what changed everything. Things like that is a good hook. Even better would be, so open with the pain or the result. Another way of saying it was, I was about to quit my coaching business. Here's what changed everything. She went from 3 clients to fully booked in 60 days. Let me show you how. The hook's job is to stop a scroll. It needs to create like an open loop that the viewer needs to close. Yeah, it creates like this, oh, I need to finish the loop. I need to kind of understand of it. So the hook, then you have a story. That could be tell the before, boom, and after. One person, one transformation. Keep it tight, emotional. Don't try and fit everything in. Bridge, connect the story directly. The bridge, okay. And then the invitation. And it could be drop me a message, comment story, hit the link in my bio, whatever it may be. We'll do some good stuff on short form video. But that's a very, very simple format, how you can use it. So a hook, story, the bridge, and then an invitation. Link in bio, comment, whatever it may be. Very, very easy, okay? But yeah, totally use this stuff in videos. Okay, I'm gonna finish today now because it's clearly the internet's cut out a few times. We've covered a lot today. I hope you found it really valuable. Please go through the workbooks, take some time with them. Once you've got these swipe files made, you have some real firepower. You can use them again and again. That workbook is for you, obviously, to keep. Please use it. Information is just entertainment if you don't use it, okay? I would love for you to use them. Tag me if you write a story on social media, and I'll share it on me as well, on my profile. Please do. Don't be someone who gets stuck in the knowing doing gap. What we talked about before, it's a real thing. The gap between knowing and what you do is where businesses die or businesses get successful. Okay, I really want you to have a thriving business. So don't just know this stuff. Please go out and use it. Okay. There's a thing I always talk about. There's a dreamer and the doers in the world, or the players. When I met my wife Prima online, she was in Uganda, where I am now, thousands of miles away, and the dreamer in me would have hesitated. What if this doesn't work out? What if I make a mistake? But what I realized is the what ifs in life are fears in disguise. Okay. So I didn't overthink. I was a doer. I booked the flight. Here we are, married for many years now, super happy. So be a doer. Be a doer. Okay, guys. Again, sorry on the low numbers today. It's my fault. I wasn't clear with the timings. I apologize. Everyone find it useful today? Would love to know if you found it helpful. Like I said, I'll drop the link again, guys. Folks on YouTube, you will see the link. People in Zoom now, just going to share some links here for you again. Next Friday, we do this all again. There we go. And then you'll see there's a few links in there. The one next Friday is about why people avoid selling altogether. Thank you, Kath, King. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you. If there's anything you need in the meantime, please reach out. Again, apologies for the mix-up on the time. Yeah, I should have realized you guys wouldn't be aware that the time in the UK changed. So life happens. Okay. Have a great week, guys. Is there any questions before we hop off? The guys are in the Zoom room. As always, people on YouTube, I will get to your questions. I will answer all of them there. There's no questions. I will grant you goodbye. Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll speak to you soon. Nicole, I'm going to drop you a message. We may have a few problems because of the internet. Everyone else, have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday. Speak to you soon. Appreciate you.